Alright guys, welcome back to another Dokkan Battle Beginner's Guide video. Today we are going to be completing the next step of our panel missions and seeing what the next course of action will be in terms of teaching you guys about this game. So the next step here wants us to unlock all of the hidden potential of all of our Saiyan Saga characters. So last video we talked about Saiyan Saga. We talked about our hidden potential system, I should say. So we're going to go through and just go to all of our characters here and just unlock the majority of the board here. As you can see, it only wanted us to go to 97%. So we're at 97% is where it'll put us without getting all the extra nodes that we mentioned in the last video to boost up our combo attack and crit and stuff like that. So 97% is just basically just hit activate all once you unlock all of your dupe nodes, and then just kind of go through and do this. So let's do that real quick. All right, so now we can go to our panel missions. Basically, completing all of this is going to give us medals, and I'm assuming that the next thing we're going to talk about is Dokkan Awakening in this particular video. So let's jump in here. We get 5 more stones, and we unlocked Extreme Z battles. We'll talk about that later on. So now we're going to go through and we're going to have to complete. We're going to have to Dokkan Awaken all of our characters. And then we're going to have to do our Z Awakening steps, which we may do in another video if time doesn't permit in this one. So let's kind of go into Dokkan Awakening and what that actually is. Let's just make sure that we didn't forget anything here. We did not. Okay. So as you can see, we now have all the medals that we need to be able to awaken all of our characters. Dokkan Awakening basically takes a unit and makes them stronger and enhances their effects. So as you can see, we need a bunch of medals here in order to be able to awaken this guy into his free-to-play LR form. And then as you can see, we click on all these characters, and you see that the card art from the top to what we see at the bottom here completely changes, which means this is a whole different character, I believe. So it's a variety of special moves, Chaozu, right? Whereas this is skills brought into play, Chaozu. So Dokkan Awakening isn't just a means of making these characters stronger. They are completely separate characters with completely different, similar but different skills. So let's take a look at Goku here. So as we look at Goku and what his kit does, his leader skill allows us to all types keep key +3 and then 50% to all of our stats. And then he raises attack for 1 turn on a super attack. We can kind of look at that. Obviously, his passive skill is very bare bones. Doesn't really do a whole lot to really help us in content. It's been fine so far, but obviously when you get to harder content, it's going to be a little bit more. And he's got 6 skills. You can see here, or skill links. You can see that he has an empty link skill here. When we awaken him, he's going to gain a 7th link. That's what that basically means, is that he will get an extra link later on. So, all right, let's go ahead and awaken. We got all the free medals that we need to be able to awaken him. So let's just Dokkan Awaken him. This is going to cost Zenny, and his initial stats are going to go down when we do this, but that's not a big deal, but that because he's at level 1. These stats are going to get a lot higher than what our current stats at the top here kind of show once we actually get him to max level. So let's just do that. All right, and he becomes the LR Saiyan Saga Goku. So there we go, we've done that. So let's go through and let's awaken all of these characters, and then we'll be right back. One thing that I did forget to mention before we made the cut there was that in order to be able to Dokkan Awaken, you do need to make sure that your characters are at their max level for what that character is able to get. So, for example, all of these units that we've had to unlock needed to be at level 100 in order for us to be able to do it. So let's just go here, select auto training items to boost them up to level 100. So they are now level 100, which now allows us to go and awaken them to their next stage. All right. So now all of our characters are now Dokkan Awakened. They are now stronger than they were before. They have much more extensive kits, and they have more abilities kind of working in their favor. So let's go back to our panel missions. Let's clear all that. So by completing these missions, we got these here. These are this is a rainbow medal, and these medals are used to basically EZA characters. There'll be a bronze, a silver, gold, and a rainbow for standard units, and then for LRs, it's all rainbow. So now that we got those done, now we can go through and talk about EZAing, right? So one of the things we need to do first, before we can talk about EZA, is that we do need to talk about LRs, things that change when characters become LRs, and just differences from like their standard like kit here. So as you can see here, this Goku was level 120, was the max level that he could be at in his previous state. Now that he's awakened into an LR, his level now caps at 150, and his super attack goes from 10 to 20. So we need a lot more resources in order to be able to boost this guy up, right? So we're not going to worry about super attack right now, mainly due to the fact that we are going to have to put in some resources to get him up there. However, we will do what we can to kind of boost him up as best as we possibly can. So let's do this. Let's maximize the training as best as we can to get him to 150, right? Yep, so we're not going to waste our training locations just because we don't really have all that much. But we're just going to boost this guy up to 150. All right. So now he's at 150. He is maxed out in terms of his level. So now let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at his kit, right? So right now, if we look at our character growth page here, we've gone through all of these different steps for this character. Right now, we are sitting on the second to last stage of his development, and we can EZA him to make him a little bit stronger. Now let's take a look at what he does beforehand. We showed a little bit of this in the hidden potential video in the last video, but as you can see, before we EZA and awaken him, he actually doesn't do like a whole lot either. So this is him before he EZAs. And then if we take a look at his EZA state, he's got a lot more going for him, right? So this is the power of EZAing. Now, EZAing is not generally this easy. EZAing generally has a lot more tied to it. There's specific stages for certain characters to be able to EZA certain characters, and we'll talk about that before we wrap this video up. But as you can see, EZAing is just another part of the character growth process. It's basically taking an older unit, it probably helps to mention this, but I believe back in 2020 is when this character was released, and it was meant to be a free-to-play character for newer players to kind of commemorate like a specific update for the game. So this guy is technically, I think, 4 years old now, maybe 3 at the earliest. But we're basically taking an older character and just making him stronger. So now we have all these medals that we got for completing the panel missions. So now we're just going to go ahead and EZA him in one go. And as you can see, it tells you down at the bottom here that it's going to boost his leader skill. It's going to boost his max super attack level, and it's going to boost his passive skill. And there we go. So now he is EZA'd. So we can go over here to our panel missions here. So we got 15 Elder Kais, which will allow us to boost him all the way up to max level, right? All right. So the next thing that it wants us to do here is we have to recruit the following characters from the panel missions or the Dragon Ball story event, and then we have to clear any stage once with all of them on our team, which is what we did. We went through this whole process to do that. And then we have to go through and clear a Dokkan event once. So this is going to get involved with the awakening aspect of it. So let's go do, because we're trying to make some progress in the Dragon Ball story that we mentioned earlier. Let's go into this area here. We Dokkan Awaken a specific character. So let's just go here. They're all level 1, so we'll obviously get levels by doing this. And we'll do Earthbred Fighters here with the Yamcha.
All right, let's do this.
So here's what I was saying about the items in previous videos too, is like these are white items. These are the lowest base rarity items that you can get in this particular section. You want to try and get as many of these nodes as you can early on, just so you can like maximize the amount of items that you acquire, right? So, all right.
I'll show 'em that I'm not messing around. Come on, let's do this.
Okay, so that was an intro. Certain characters have intros with OSTs kind of tied to them. Yeah, that basically is one of them. Now, as you can see, Yamcha here has an extra ability here, which if you hold him down and swipe up, it activates his active skill. Certain characters have either an active skill or a standby skill, and they each do different things. An active skill is like an instant like gratification type thing where either it's an attack of some sort or it gives your character or your team like a buff, right? A standby skill is a skill that changes the character around to be, usually in most cases, it makes them a bit more defensive. But a standby skill, usually you swipe down on, and then over the course of a couple turns, you do like specific actions, like either landing attacks or gathering key spheres, like the orbs on the screen, to build up for a final attack of some sort. But this is an active skill, so we'll activate this. Show this off.
Buckle up, buddy, 'cause you're in for a real challenge. You're not gonna like this.
I still love this OST for this Yamcha. I love it. All right, we got a bunch of levels on these guys, which is great. Because levels, well, it's part of the grind, you know? So, all right, so we did that one. And now we got to go and complete a Dokkan event in order to be able to complete today's panel missions, right? And we're getting some levels while we're doing all this too, which is also, you know, very good. So, all right. So before we go and do that and go on to this next part of the video, let me go back and level up all these characters just so they're at max 120, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay, so we went through and we leveled up our entire team up to 120, so that way we don't have to worry about, you know, falling behind in battle or anything like that. We push up their stats a little bit. So now we're going to go and complete a Dokkan event. So in order to go there to complete a Dokkan event, you have to go over here to events, and you have to go under challenge. Now, your challenge page is where a lot of your difficult content is going to end up being. Like, you got your red zone stages, intensifying fights is a big one, super battle road and extreme super battle road. You got your blue zone or your supreme magnificent battle. You have a bunch of celebration events and stuff. EZA areas for some of the free-to-play LRs and free-to-play characters. You got your fighting legends battles. So this is basically like there's a lot here. There's a lot here. There's so much content in this game you guys don't understand. But for the sake of making things easy, these Dokkan events, it'll say Dokkan on the left side. It'll be a black label. We're going to go through and take a look at one of the characters that we pulled from our free summon that we got. And we have this Vegeta, right? What does he need to awaken? Just for the sake of knowing what we need, right? Let me do this. Let's just awaken him up just so we know what he needs to awaken. Okay, so he needs like a whole like separate stage. We'll talk about these stages later. I thought he needed something like more specific than that, but obviously he didn't. So if you want to know what medals you need to be able to awaken some of these characters, all you have to do is go to your awaken tab under growth. You hold down the you click on the character you want to upgrade. It'll tell you what medals you need, and then if you hold down on the medals here, it'll allow you to go to the event. In this case, we have to go through the Hero Extermination Plan event under our story section in order to be able to get the medals for this guy. But that's not what we need to complete the panel missions, so we're going to go do an actual Dokkan event. So now these Dokkan events, again, are going to be your best way, or like these are where the majority of your medals are going to be to awaken characters. Yeah, like the majority of the characters that you need to awaken, you're going to have to come here under challenge and complete these Dokkan events to get the medals. But we're going to start here. This is a much older event. So I don't expect, as you can see, because these Dokkan events are, the game is 10 years old and there's so many characters, right? If you go and you look at the info tab for some of these Dokkan events, you will see that there are multiple stages for each of these Dokkan events because of how old the game is. Obviously, this first stage was a means to recruit a free-to-play character. So we're not necessarily getting medals from this particular stage, but as you can see with some of the harder difficulties as they've kind of released over the years, they drop different medals and different types of medals for certain characters. So we're just going to go through and complete this. We'll use Yamcha again as our leader.
All right, let's do this.
All right, so as you can see, we're on the stage here, and we want to work our way up there while trying to grab as many of these items as we possibly can. Obviously, you got Zenny here, which is money in currency that you can use to help you out. We're not going to go too crazy with this, just because we don't necessarily need Zenny at this current moment, but we do want to try and get as many of these items as we possibly can, because they will come in handy later on down the line as you're kind of building your account and kind of going from there. We're getting a gold support item, which is good. But that's it. So we're just going to go straight to the Broly and fight the Broly. And now this fight shouldn't be too hard. It's a much older event.
Let me at 'em. I'll show 'em that I'm not messing around. Come on, let's do this.
It's a much older event than what we normally deal with. So we're just going to utilize Yamcha's active skill. Sweep this fight.
Because you're in for a real challenge. You're not gonna like this.
I still love this OST. I'm going to say it every time. I like it. It's... All right. Oh, we actually got the SR Broly. Okay, that's cool. So, like I said, very easy stage. We'll see if this counts towards the panel missions, but I think we need... I think it just said to clear a Dokkan event, not get Dokkan Awakening medals. Yep, look at that. Cool. We're gonna try and send a friend request to this guy, see if we can have him as a permanent friend leader. But let's take a look at this Broly. Yeah, as you can see, this Broly is a much older character. He has gone through quite a bit, but he is an SR character. Back in the day, he was pretty... I think he might have been decent, because you could see attack plus 13% to all types. And it went up to 20%. 20% to all types. And then he awakens into Super Saiyan 3 Broly, which I think is really funny. But yeah, like these skills are like nothing nowadays. Like these don't do anything. So Ki plus 30 and attack plus 70% is like whatever. But yeah, but that's cool that we got him though. Add him to the collection. So all right, let's see if that completed this. And it did. So we're going to get some stones here, and we got some Elder Kais. And that completes our tutorial for Dokkan Awakening, everybody, and EZAing. We'll talk about EZA stages at a later date. But with that said, that's the next part. With that particular panel done, we've unlocked Patan Paddle, we've unlocked the Portal of Memories, and we unlocked Giru's Guide. Giru's Guide will be pretty helpful. We can maybe talk about that a little bit going into the next part here. But yeah, we'll talk about Giru's Guide and kind of go from there, and maybe do some of the panel missions as we kind of progress this account and kind of go forward. But thank you guys so much for hanging out and watching. Hope you guys are enjoying this beginner's guide, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.